Hey everyone, RemanX here, and we're a little bit after Kate Bishop made her way into our lineups via offers, and so those people who are going to be blitzing for her are going to wonder if she's actually valuable slash viable everywhere we think she is. So, is she a potential raid solution? I'm hesitant to utilize her because she's sort of still part of that tech team by committee. The real tech team hasn't shown up yet. And again, we've talked about how the indicator will be something like trauma. So let's talk about how they actually function as a war team. So you guys might have seen some images going around showcasing some counters for the Young Avengers. And I'm going to say something. This team scales exceptionally better than any team that we've had on defense when it comes to health. They're not Heroes for Hire 2.0, and they're not only beatable by Weapon X. In fact, yours truly lost with Weapon X today with a keen misplay. Maybe it was a misplay. It was probably just over-evaluating what happens if I get characters below certain numbers of health because of the way that the passive triggers work, the speed ups and all of that. So you got to be careful with the team. If you're punching down too hard, you can definitely speed them up. But you take out one character and they're going to fall apart, unlike where Heroes for Hire still had a lot of life left in them, and it can eventually, change the tide of war if you weren't able to beat them with one shot. This is a team that's designed. This is the words the devs used. This is a team that's designed that if you don't beat it the first time, you'll have an easier chance the second time and likely be able to finish it off. And that's the important part of the message. So there's a lot of miscommunication happening about what the devs' intention were this team. They did not want to make Heroes for Hire 2.0. They didn't want to have a shutdown team that changed people's enjoyment on war. And I think they accomplished that with this team. Now, at the top tier of war, in the top alliances, we're facing off via the number 2 alliance, and it's a mixed bag. Some are winning, some are losing. It's not a simple one counter that solves every single problem. And to me, that feels like a decent war team, because eventually a solution can come out that'll easily one-shot this. And Weapon X probably, if played correctly and you kill the right character, that's going to impact that. So we're going to go through the T4s. We're going to see that I actually brought Kate Bishop up to 6 red and 6 star. And the main reason for that was she was the weakest link because she's just the most recently available. And so her power, once she is able to soak damage and get those evades up, she becomes exceptionally more powerful and harder to beat. So the way that a lot of people were beating was focusing her down and using like long shots ult to kill her, or being able to use some high damage. Now, with full raid buffs, she's going to take that 400k and go to about, I think, 1.1 million. So you're not going to be able to do that easily with long shots ultimate and take this team off the board. If you fail in doing so, she's going to rebound and quickly get a bunch of evades, and you're going to speed up the rest of that team. So they are definitely not something that I would necessarily say is fully countered. I will say there's some evident counters, but again, as you build this team up, this team is already getting an extra bonus because of the cargo bay bonus. Remember, there's a bonus that goes to defenders, a 10% bonus, net bonus, that happens in war that you have to account for. And that's something that this team is going to exploit when you're taking into that fight. And so a lot of the things you're doing in training mode won't carry over as you face bigger versions of this team. So it's a warning that just be careful of some of the counters that are out there. They'll work at smaller counters, but as this team builds and progresses, they're probably built for the next evolution of war. But that's not it. This team is actually really good everywhere else. So a couple of things we talked about is how the passives function outside of war. How many of these abilities don't have war-specific tags. So we're going to take a look at this because this is kind of what I want to highlight here. This is just a quick arena matchup versus the old arena meta, which was Infinity Watch. And the reason why we're showcasing this is because there's another game mode that isn't mode specific that you probably want to take and look into account of because of how this team is going to work if your opponent decides to put, Infinity Watch on defense. So relatively quickly, you can see that even if things go poorly, there's a lot of different clears here. I mean, this is not even full T4s. And we're just going to do the regular targeting, the same preference we have whenever we're trying to take down Infinity Watch. And because they're completely blocking that that assist factor, we're taking them off the board pretty quickly here. And so once Phyla-Vell, drops, this team becomes a lot less scary. There's no death proof being applied, and you can see these guys are just, with the evades going up, these guys are just, making short work of the team. And so, should you build Young Avengers? The answer isn't as simple as you think it is. It's not a team that I feel is an easy skip for a lot of players. The idea is we don't know what the rewards are going to be hidden behind the Grand Tournament game mode. You can be darn sure it's going to be significant to the survival of Marvel Strike Force. They need to get this right. With the sentiment of the players here, if Grand Tournament isn't something that's fun and exciting, then I feel like a lot of people are going to lose excitement about this game. But this is what a wider roster is really yielding, is a lot more results like this, where it isn't just a simple, this works only in war. And I really like this team because I think they're going to be exceptional in the End of the Tower. I think they're going to be really exceptional in, game modes like the Grand Tournament. They're probably going to be exceptional if they're featured in the next Pocket Dimension, which they often try to feature teams that were recently released or updated. But no, if you're free to play, I don't think you should necessarily work on this team. Maybe there's some characters on this team that you may want to work on, but until this team's widely available, because of the scaling, I think you're going to be disappointed with the amount of stars and amount of red stars when you're putting him in a war scenario, when you think about how massively overwork some of the war offense teams you have. So realistically, one of the biggest problems is they're succumbing to Zemo's speed. And Zemo's stripping them of their buffs, preventing them applying ability block on a character pretty reliably because he's been built up through our roster and has been out for a year. So I think that's probably maybe a little bit of a short-sightedness for this team. And I think it does reduce the impact for folks who don't want to go all in on this team. And I think you need to take a look at your roster, figure out if you've got enough potential to build towards the future, and if this 7th or 8th ranked team for a mode like Grand Tournament is even worth building. The only thing that they really do exceptionally well is control the field, have a lot of heals, and when you're playing them, you can see how they can shut down teams that have all those assists on them. So the ball's in your court. I don't tell you what to do. I just tell you I do things so you don't have to. I love this team. They're a lot of fun to play. But just like Ravagers, they're not for everybody. If you're not worried about war, and I think you should be, and I personally think you should be worried about more war offense than war defense, so you're getting those war credits to be able to build out your roster. I think this team might be a hard pass for a lot of folks. Anyway, love you much. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys see the advanced breakdown. We'll go through the T4s in another video because I'm still lining them up. Some ISO changes might be in the works. There might be a fortifier on this team if some of my brain trust is to be listened to. And I think that you're going to find that there's a lot more potential for some changes. And I will say, like I said, I think the two characters that should be sped up are Echo and Kate Bishop. And you should keep Kate Bishop, if she's large enough, next to Miss Marvel, so that you get that extra trigger and you trigger her evades relatively early on if they're trying to target Miss Squirrel Girl or the like. So stay tuned.